he really is such an amazing person. I'm really grateful that we're so close, and that I know that we both just want.
For years, here is the rewritten transcript in approximately 2,500 words, in flowing paragraph form. Anna Faris at 49. The untold story behind her marriage, divorce, and remarkable comeback for nearly a decade. Anna Faris and Chris Pratt were considered one of the most beloved couples in Hollywood. Their warmth, shared humor, and visible affection for one another made them fan favorites, and their relationship seemed like one of the rare success stories in an industry not exactly known for lasting love. So when the two announced their separation in August 2017, the reaction from fans and the public was one of genuine shock and disbelief. People wanted answers. What had really happened behind those closed doors? Now, at 49 years old, Anna Faris is finally speaking with more openness about the emotional weight of that chapter in her life. And what she has shared reveals far more than tabloid headlines ever could. Anna has described the end of her 9-year marriage as an incredibly painful experience. While she has chosen not to lay out every private detail for public consumption, her recent reflections paint a picture of a woman navigating deep personal sadness while simultaneously living under a level of scrutiny that most people will never experience. She has acknowledged that spending more than 2.5 decades in the entertainment industry inevitably shapes a person, no matter how grounded they try to remain. Fame leaves its fingerprints on everything, including relationships. And at the moment when her marriage was quietly falling apart, the entire world was watching. In the middle of that pain, Anna found an unexpected source of comfort in her podcast. Anna Faris is Unqualified, a project she had originally hoped would attract only a small and intimate audience. Instead, it grew into something far more significant, offering her a sense of belonging and community precisely when she needed it most. Looking back, she recognizes how important that creative outlet turned out to be during one of the hardest periods of her adult life. To truly understand Anna Faris, though, it helps to go back to where everything began. She was born on November 29, 1976, in Baltimore, Maryland, the second child of Jack and Karen Faris. Her father was a sociology professor, and the family's time on the East Coast was relatively brief. When Anna was 6 years old, they relocated to Washington State, eventually settling in Edmonds, a quiet city just north of Seattle. The Faris household was one that placed great value on education and intellectual life. Her father later became involved with the University of Washington and led a biotechnology association, while her mother spent her career teaching special education. Anna's older brother Robert went on to become a sociology professor, following closely in their father's footsteps. By Anna's own description, her parents were progressive and open-minded in their worldview, yet the home itself felt grounded and structured. Religion did not play a central role in their upbringing, but values and discipline certainly did. From a very early age, Anna showed a natural inclination towards storytelling and performance. Her parents recognized this creative spark and enrolled her in a community drama class when she was just 6 years old. It quickly became clear that this was not simply a childhood hobby. She fell in love with performing. She watched plays with genuine fascination and staged her own productions at home, rounding up neighborhood friends to take on various roles. Her imagination had a quirky, inventive quality to it. She once described entertaining herself by pretending that her orthodontic retainer could speak, and she would imagine herself appearing on television talk shows to discuss this fascinating development. It was the kind of playful, slightly offbeat humor that would later become her professional signature. Through high school at Edmonds Woodway, she threw herself into drama, proudly describing herself as a full-on theater nerd with no concern for social convention. She appeared with a Seattle repertoire company, participated in nationally broadcast radio plays, and showed no signs of slowing down. After graduating in 1994, she enrolled at the University of Washington, where she studied English literature and earned her degree in 1999. Interestingly, despite all her years of stage experience, Anna at that point did not envision herself becoming a film star. Her actual dream was to become a novelist, and acting was something she viewed largely as a way to earn money while she pursued her writing ambitions. After graduation, Anna had plans to move to London, where she had arranged a receptionist position at an advertising agency. But at the last moment, she changed course entirely and moved to Los Angeles to give acting a genuine shot. That single decision redirected the entire trajectory of her life. The professional groundwork had actually been laid much earlier. At just 9 years old, Anna had landed her first paid acting role in a Seattle repertory theater production of a play by Arthur Miller, earning $250, an amount that felt like a fortune to a child. More stage opportunities followed throughout her childhood and teenage years, including roles in productions of To Kill a Mockingbird, Heidi, and Our Town. She also filmed commercials, appeared in training videos, and took part in a Microsoft promotional project during her college years. After graduating, she landed a role in an independent horror film called Lover's Lane, which eventually went to DVD but earned her some of her first professional reviews, with at least one critic identifying her as the most compelling element of the entire production. The seeds of something larger were clearly being planted. Everything changed in the year 2000 when Anna was cast as Cindy Campbell in Scary Movie. Before that film, she was largely unknown outside of small independent productions. After it, she was a star. Scary Movie opened at #1 at the box office and went on to earn hundreds of millions of dollars worldwide, turning Anna into one of the most recognizable comedic actresses in Hollywood almost overnight. She later reflected on the experience as an invaluable training ground, one that sharpened her physical comedy instincts, refined her timing, and gave her the kind of confidence that only comes from succeeding at the highest level. The role earned her award nominations and led directly to a sequel the following year. But rather than allow herself to be permanently defined by that one character, Anna made deliberate choices to diversify. In 2002, she appeared in the independent psychological thriller May, a dramatic departure that impressed critics and demonstrated a range most audiences had not anticipated. She followed that with The Hot Chick alongside Rob Schneider and Rachel McAdams. Then came a genuinely career-defining moment when acclaimed director Sofia Coppola cast her in Lost in Translation, alongside Bill Murray and Scarlett Johansson in 2003. Her role was relatively small, but the film became a cultural touchstone and exposed Anna to an entirely different level of critical recognition. Reviewers who had known her mainly through parody comedies suddenly saw another dimension of her talent entirely. Her career continued to expand with impressive speed. She joined the final season of Friends in 2004, playing a character named Erica, which introduced her to a massive new audience. She appeared in a brief but memorable scene in Ang Lee's Brokeback Mountain. She teamed with Ryan Reynolds in both Waiting and Just Friends, with her role in the latter playing an outrageous and wildly self-absorbed aspiring pop star named Samantha James, becoming one of the most fondly remembered performances of her entire career. The Scary Movie franchise continued with fourth and fifth installments. In 2007, she starred in the independent comedy Smiley Face, a film that critics embraced enthusiastically, and which would go on to be considered among the finest showcases of her abilities. Then in 2008 came The House Bunny, which she both produced and starred in, playing a former Playboy bunny who becomes a sorority house mother. Though critics gave the film mixed notices, they were nearly unanimous in praising Anna's performance, and the film was a genuine commercial hit. It was also around this time, in early 2007, that Anna met Chris Pratt during a table read for the comedy Take Me Home Tonight. The two were cast as romantic interests on screen, and genuine feelings developed between them in real life as well. Their relationship moved quickly. They became engaged by late 2008 and married the following year in an intimate, spontaneous ceremony in Bali, Indonesia, reportedly deciding to elope while attending a friend's wedding. The public adored them as a couple. They seemed genuinely happy, playful, and deeply supportive of one another through the pressures of simultaneous Hollywood careers. In 2012, they welcomed their son Jack, whose birth came 9 weeks early, sending both parents through a frightening period as the baby spent close to a month in intensive care before being allowed to come home. The experience was deeply bonding, even as it was terrifying. But before meeting Chris, Anna had already traveled through love and heartbreak. She had met actor Ben Indra on the set of Lover's Lane in 1999, and the two eventually married in 2004. The marriage lasted less than 3 years before Anna filed for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences. The financial settlement was significant, involving nearly $1 million, additional property, and future acting royalties. It was a painful period that left real emotional marks. Around this same time, Anna made a personal decision she has spoken about openly in interviews and in her memoir, Unqualified. She chose to have breast implants, explaining that the decision was connected not to career pressures, but to the emotional vulnerability she felt in the aftermath of her divorce and the insecurities about her appearance that she had quietly carried for years. After her marriage to Chris Pratt ended and the divorce was finalized in October 2018, Anna's life continued moving forward in several directions at once. She starred in the 2018 comedy Overboard, a remake featuring her as a hard-working single mother who convinces a wealthy amnesiac to believe they are married. Despite divided critical reactions, audiences showed up, and the film earned more than $91 million worldwide, confirming that Anna's star power remained very much intact. She also became increasingly selective in her professional choices, focusing on quality and personal satisfaction over volume. In 2022, she appeared in The Estate alongside Toni Collette, a dark comedy about two sisters competing for a wealthy aunt's inheritance. 2 years later, she appeared in My Spy, The Eternal City opposite Dave Bautista. Critics were mixed on both projects, but Anna's personal performances continued to draw praise even when the surrounding material fell short. The most exciting professional development in recent years came in 2025, when Anna announced her return to the role that started everything. More than 2 decades after Cindy Campbell first appeared on screen, she is reprising the character in Scary Movie 6, with production beginning in late 2025 and a release scheduled for June 2026. For longtime fans, it feels like a deeply satisfying full-circle moment. She has also joined 2 additional upcoming projects, Object and Spa Weekend, continuing to stay active and engaged in the comedy space she has owned for a quarter century. In her personal life, Anna also found her way to happiness again. After her separation from Chris Pratt, she began a relationship with cinematographer Michael Barrett, whom she met on the set of Overboard. By 2020, she confirmed they were engaged, and the following year the two married quietly in a courthouse ceremony in Washington state. Life has continued to bring challenges alongside its blessings. In 2019, she and several guests suffered symptoms from dangerous carbon monoxide exposure during a Thanksgiving gathering in Lake Tahoe. And in early 2025, her home in Pacific Palisades was destroyed in the devastating wildfires that swept through the area. Through setbacks large and small, Anna has demonstrated a resilience that goes well beyond anything her public image might suggest. Away from the cameras and the award circuits, Anna has also used her profile to support causes that carry genuine personal meaning. Inspired by the premature birth of her son and the vision challenges he experienced early in life, she and Chris Pratt donated $1 million to a charity providing eyeglasses to children in need. She has supported the neonatal intensive care unit at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center and worked with organizations addressing premature births and infant mortality. In 2017, she joined colleagues in donating to Planned Parenthood Los Angeles. Since 2021, she has actively supported GAP PPS, raising awareness through both social media and her podcast platform. What Anna Faris's story ultimately reveals is not simply a narrative about a Hollywood marriage that ended, though the public fascination with that chapter has never fully faded. It is the story of a woman who grew up with a love of storytelling, nearly moved to London to answer phones at an advertising agency, changed her mind at the last moment, and ended up becoming one of the most genuinely talented comedic performers of her generation. It is the story of someone who experienced divorce, professional reinvention, personal insecurity, sudden loss, and new love, and who continued showing up for her work and her family through all of it. Fame shaped her, as she herself has admitted. But it never managed to completely define her. And perhaps that is the most honest and interesting thing about Anna Faris after all these years. She has always been more than the roles she played, the marriages she navigated, or the headlines that followed her. She is still here, still working, still telling stories, and by all accounts, still very much herself.